Hey everyone, welcome back to my book series on healing therapies for long COVID. Book I wrote, Chapter 9, Medicines and Methods. So in this chapter, I discuss a lot of the remedies that we want to take for COVID. I waited to discuss all this stuff because I really wanted to get the importance of the energetics, like we talked about, anchoring in love, using fire as an energetic. I felt like that is your most important thing. And to keep that in mind, that it's not, some pill is not going to necessarily save you. It could, but there's a deeper energetic that you have there that you have to stay anchored in. That being said, let's get into it. So I'm going to divide this into two sections. First section, we're just going to focus on the spike proteins. And then the second section, we're going to focus on good antihistamines and anti-inflammatories, which are really secondary, medicines. So again, long COVID, the spike proteins is really the smoking gun. The immune system malfunctions over it. Immune system, white blood cells come to eat it, and they literally the the spikes get stuck inside the white blood cells, right? Can't break it down. It's like a piece of sand. It's like trash in there. So our number one goal is to get those things out. Of course, this creates all this autoimmune like kind of situations. Really makes me wonder how many autoimmune diseases there's actually something there, that it's something has triggered the immune system to go in, confused it, like that. Something to look into. So spike proteins. I divide the spike protein, getting them out into two categories. There's the things that block the spike proteins and the things that dissolve the spike proteins. So the spike proteins, these infected cells like to attach to the blood vessel walls, right? And that's where they create all this inflammation. So there's this series of receptors, like lock and key kind of stuff that they gain access and they just create havoc. So there's a number of drugs that block the spike proteins from attaching to these cell walls. And one of them is ivermectin. Ivermectin is a great drug for helping block these spike proteins to their receptors. So that's a highly recommended one. I've seen people do really well with ivermectin and come completely out of long COVID. And I've also seen people, it doesn't work for them. So it can be kind of hit or miss in my experience. For me, it was very helpful. What I did was rounds of it. And there's all sorts of different ways and methods to stay on it. I like what are they called now? They used to be called the FLCCC's method of ivermectin dosing, but there's a weight chart that you can look at, and I recommend staying on it for at least 2 weeks and see what happens. See if it's working for you. You might want to combine it with the other receptor blocker that's great. That's nicotine. Tobacco. So that came to me years ago when I was dealing with Lyme disease in my intuitive meditations. I kept seeing tobacco. It's like, why am I seeing tobacco? But tobacco turns out is incredible. It's an antiparasitic, it's antiviral, it's antibacterial, it's anti-mold, it kills aflatoxin, and it happens to block the spike proteins as well from the receptors. So a lot of people, nicotine was a big part of my healing. That was big. That worked for me. And when you combine it with ivermectin, a lot of people are getting great results quickly. Now, how are you going to take nicotine? There's a number of different ways. There's the patches you can use. I recommend starting slow with those patches because nicotine and high levels can make you nauseous. If you're not used to nicotine or tobacco, you can get those lower patches, they come in gradation. So get the one that's the most gentle first and just try that. You gotta see how it's going to work. Other ways you can do it is the really a good tobacco is mapacho tobacco. You want to get like organic mapacho. You can make a tincture out of that. You soak it in alcohol for a couple of weeks and you take just drops of that. You can do that. There's high potency pastes of tobacco like ambil or rumijai, which are used in a lot of Amazonian tribes, and it's just a paste of the tobacco, just a toothpick once a day, small amounts. There's hape, which is nasal tobacco, and you can I've seen people do tobacco tea. You take the leaf of the tobacco plant and you put it in just a tea. So again, you got to be very careful with tobacco. It's a powerful medicine, right? And a powerful medicine needs reverence. It needs prayer. Most natives use tobacco as a healing herb, right? It's not this every day, right? This is the stuckness of tobacco, right? This is where people have lost the prayer, so to say, right? Where nicotine's gotcha. So you want to be reverent with tobacco and you want to rotate it and you want to not do a lot of it. I recommend like a couple of weeks worth of it, like the nicotine patch, a couple of weeks, your tinctures, and take a break from it. Rotate out, do other medicines instead, because nicotine can grab you and you don't want to get addicted to nicotine. So it's really keeping that approach of this is a medicine, being grateful for it, and this can help me. And like all powerful medicines that can potentially be toxic, you want to take them in small amounts, right? Okay, so there's just some other kinds of spike protein blockers that are a little more there's a drug called Maraviroc that Dr. Bruce Patterson uses, and it's actually a drug used for HIV, but it turns out it blocks the spike proteins as well from attaching to the receptors. And there's a number of drugs in development like pro-resolving mediators. There's some ways that they're looking at that lock and key mechanism to block the spike proteins. So you might want to do a little more research into that because there may be some new drugs that pop out soon that may be really specific to blocking those spike proteins. But ivermectin and nicotine are my favorites for that. In the previous one about the immune system, lowering the immune system, calming the immune system down, I forgot to mention low dose naltrexone, which really works a lot for people. It can calm down the immune system, calm down that fight or flight. And I've seen that work for people, as well as fluvoxamine. Fluvoxamine is another sort of one of these repurposed drugs. Again, low dose fluvoxamine and low dose naltrexone. So you're just taking low doses of these. Fluvoxamine really worked for me, but low dose naltrexone didn't do much for me. But I've seen it help a lot of people. And again, those drugs lower they sort of calm the immune system down, which in the previous chapter we talked a lot about that. Okay, so what breaks down the spike protein? So we got the blockers, right? But those blockers, ivermectin and nicotine, they're not breaking the spike protein down. So the spike protein is literally a chain of amino acids, right? It's a protein. So what's going to break down proteins? Early on in my intuitive meditations, when I first had long COVID in 2020, and I was going in there, I remember having this image of like a bleach bottle, right? And I thought, oh, wow, Trump was kind of right in what he was saying about like just drink bleach, right? It was like, okay, that's not what we're going to do, but he's on to something. So, really, what it turns out is that chlorine dioxide, which is different from bleach, it's similar. Chlorine dioxide turns out to be a powerful medicine for breaking down the spike proteins. And there's a number of scientific papers that have come out over the years on chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide is very powerful, it's very potent. You can get it online. It usually comes in two a formula that you have to create. It'll come in two, what is it, hydrochloric. I'm not recalling the two different bottles, but you have to buy them separately, and then just Google chlorine dioxide. There's a bunch of social media threads just on chlorine dioxide and long haul COVID and cancer as well. But you combine the two chemicals and it creates chlorine dioxide. And again, you're just taking small drops of that, very small drops, right? It's like you never want to overdose this kind of stuff because it can be very, very toxic. So you build up. We're talking drops, 5 drops, 6 drops, something like that. Um, Chlorine dioxide, interestingly enough, I kept having images of soap as well. I kept seeing soap. Why am I seeing soap? Okay, like what is soap? What does soap do? Soap breaks down proteins, right? We wash our hands, we wash our face, we get rid of the grime that breaks things down, gets rid of it. Okay, so what is soap? Traditionally, soap was made from fat and lye, right? So it turns out lye is actually really powerful at breaking down proteins. It's it's not used too much. They make what are those Chinese eggs, those blackened eggs, those lye eggs, century eggs they're called. They make these eggs with it. You can find some food products with that are made with a little bit of lye in it, and lye is oh, forgive me, the scientific name is like sodium hydroxide. Is that what it is? I forget. But lye is actually another really powerful, I believe, spike protein breaker downer. Now, again, lye can be incredibly very toxic. You have to just take drops. We're talking small amounts and you have to rotate it, right? So all these things like chlorine dioxide, nicotine, even ivermectin, lye, you're just taking small amounts and you're rotating it. You're giving your body a break, right? From too much toxicity. Okay, so a lot of you listeners, are going to be like, lye, bleach, forget that. Okay, so one of my other favorite spike protein breaker downers is homeopathics. I kept having images, as I described before, of things like I had this image of in my meditations, I saw soy sauce right on the table and with chunks of glass in it when I was holding the spike protein. It's like, what? Soy sauce. So you got to put your intuitive hat on. Soy sauce is amino acids, right? That's amino acids. It's like Bragg's amino acids. Oh, the spike proteins. Oh, it's glass. What's glass? Glass is silica, silicae. Um, that works best as a homeopathic. A lot of toxic remedies, toxic medicines work better as homeopathics. And homeopathy is really an energetic medicine, is really what it is. And whether you believe in it or not, a lot of people think poo-poo it, but I found it to be of unbelievable benefit. And it was really one of the key things for helping get the spike proteins out. So homeopathic silicae, Si like silica, but ACE, graphites like pencils, and petroleum like petroleum, gasoline. Homeopathic, 30C, 200C. Try rotating those. I have a whole protocol on the homeopathic treatment for spike proteins that you can find on my website as well, and you can download if you want to go that route. Other things that break down spike proteins. The enzymes, right? Enzymes break down proteins. Those are really great. Nattokinase has risen to the top. And lumbrokinase, Lumbro. Lumbrokinase is actually the saliva of the earthworm, right? So earthworms are digging through the soil and digesting, breaking down proteins and dirt. That's a super potent enzyme, nattokinase and lumbrokinase. And there's other enzymes like protease enzymes, anything that would break down proteins. But again, you have to be a little careful with these enzymes as well because they'll break down proteins, but they're going to break down your proteins to a certain degree as well. The good news is that we recreate those proteins in our body, right? So what we're trying to get out the spike proteins. So a little bit of damage to the rest of our body. our body can heal, it's worth it to get out those spike proteins, right? So, those are the main medicine. Oh, N-acetylcysteine. There's a lot of science that's come out about that, about helping spike proteins. Check out the augmented NAC is another good one. Um, there's many other remedies and methods for breaking down spike proteins and blocking spike proteins, and I go into a lot of these other ones in the in my book. But these are the main ones that really helped me and seem to have risen to the top um, for you know, with the science and also people who have gotten better on it. So spike protein blockers, spike protein breaker downers. I recommend taking one or two of each and rotating them, right? Just rotate through all of them and see which ones work for you, because some medicines work better for some people and some work better for others. I might mention metformin. Metformin seems to help with some people. It's another drug being repurposed for spike proteins and COVID, especially in the early stages. All right, so that's your number one goal, right? Get those spike proteins out. We'll see you next time.